And welcome to Weather Geeks. I'm Dr. Marshall Shepard from the University of Georgia, and I am joined today by a good friend and colleague, Leslie Chapman Henderson from the Federal Alliance for Safe Homes. I know it as FLASH. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about FLASH, because many of our audience may not know about it.
Sure. FLASH is a nonprofit. It's a very diverse group of people that come together to promote disaster safety and resilience. So we really want to strengthen homes and safeguard families from weather of all different kinds.
Exactly, and this is pertinent because as we are gearing up for the 2016 hurricane season, I know you've been very much involved with that, and so in fact there may be some connection to hurricanes and how the organization came about. Is there a story there?
That's right. We were actually a volunteer group. It was NOAA, the Hurricane Center, Red Cross, insurance folks, emergency managers, and after Hurricane Andrew, as we were trying to help Miami come back together, everyone kept saying, oh, who's gonna, who's got the building code? Otherwise, it's just this definition of insanity, right? Building it back the same way, and then it gets destroyed again.
No, so this is interesting because we know the devastation of Andrew, and so some of the codes and standards that came about post-Andrew, your organization was instrumental in that?
We were. We worked very hard after '92, and by then we were formalized in '98. But even in 2002, 2007, we were still fighting the good fight and trying to get those little loopholes out.
So what are some of the, I mean, if I put you on the spot and say, what are some of you consider as the CEO and director of this organization, what would you say are your major successes or some that really kind of you're proud of?
Well, I think those building code issues, and I also think programs like Turn Around, Don't Drown.
See, this is really interesting. The Turn Around, Don't Drown, I recently wrote on this in Forbes because why aren't people doing it? I know some people are doing it, but at the Houston floods we saw recently, there were really cases where that wasn't happening, and there was, unfortunately, some loss of life in some regards. Yeah, you are really innovative with some of these slogans and some of the activities. So Turn Around, Don't Drown, that came from you.
It did, and the Weather Service. We did it in partnership. It was an idea, and we said, God, that's a great idea. We should make that into a campaign, and we did billboards and stickers. And lately, I think we probably need to go back and do some more billboards and stickers.
Yeah, I think exactly, because I think some people still aren't doing it. But there was really an interesting, how do we assess whether slogans like that work? I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that you can get the official statistics and look at that, but we do go out after disasters and we talk to people, and we do a combination of social science research that's formal, but we also do a lot of anecdotal. And things like in tornado outbreaks, we've had people, we can do a small feature about a tornado safe room, and that call to arms is, safe room save lives. And they call us and they go, what is that? I didn't know that I could live through a tornado. And so we tell stories, we call them the tale of two homes. And then we have tornado stories about a young family after Tuscaloosa where they heard the message and he thought, well, I should go get that. So they built a safe room and they survived in Tuscaloosa, which was, as you know, very devastating.
Yeah, and we're, at the time of this taping, we're looking at the possibility of some severe weather in parts of the United States. And so it's interesting to note that FLASH is not just about hurricanes, it's also about various aspects of severe weather. So I mean, I know some of the other things that you've done are the Go Tape List, the Weather Person of the Year. Who's some of your Weather Persons of the Year?
Well, our first one was Jim Cantor of the Weather Channel. And then following Jim was Max Mayfield, former director of the Hurricane Center. And this year we had Alex Garcia from Texas, who, as you know, has done a ton of weather education and helped the public understand the science as well as the safety. And that's the combination we're looking for. Now, you can survive if you have the right information.
Exactly. Now, I know this year, 2016, your campaign is Hurricane Strong, and
Hurricane Strong.
Show us Hurricane Strong, because
I can't take credit for the idea. It was actually our Hurricane Center director, Rick Knapp's idea. But to break through all the clutter of the messaging, we've got to get people's attention. So he came up with the idea that we need to be Hurricane Strong.
Right, and we're doing Northern Hemisphere version.
That's right. No Australia, although we have partners in Australia and we'll do Cyclone Strong with them. But the idea here is to use social media as a rallying place.
So everybody tweet that out, hashtag Hurricane Strong. Let's get that trending.
That's right. And if you look there right now, you'll see the Girl Scouts were in D.C. last week with the head of DHS going Hurricane Strong. And meteorologists down in Texas at the Tropical Weather Conference. And so the word is getting out because there's so much messaging and we have to break through. So we have to come up with these slogans like Hurricane Strong and others. And it's fun and it's a little silly maybe, but it's a very serious problem because of the amnesia.
Yeah, and so it's really sort of what you're trying to achieve with the Hurricane Strong is awareness.
That's right.
And after the commercial, we're going to talk about this whole notion of hurricane amnesia. How is Home Depot involved in this?
Well, Home Depot has stepped up big time for Hurricane Strong, and on May 15th from 1 to 2:30, they are going to have workshops for the public in 700 stores in every state from Texas up to Canada. Okay. And you'll be able to go there and kind of freshen your memory and learn how to, protect your home, how to board up your windows, safe preparedness and clean up too.
And a part of that effort, tell us about these hurricane awareness tours, because again, hurricane season is around the corner, June 1st. And so what are you trying to accomplish in those tours?
Well, NOAA puts on a fantastic tour every year. They take the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, the P3, G4 and the C-130s out, and they do whistle stops to different cities and bring in the media and school kids and local leaders to remind everybody, hey, it's time to get ready. And it's a great opportunity to get everybody kind of energized and remind them what's happening, so that they, just start with the basic safety things, get your plan in place, but also that you kind of look around your house. Flood insurance, there's a 30-day wait for flood insurance, and you can't get it once the flood threat is real.
Wow. So and that was one of the things because after the break we're going to talk about hurricane amnesia, but related to floods or severe weather and tornadoes, what are some of the things that you see or have seen in your career, and it's been an illustrious career, that worry you or concern you in our enterprise?
Well, what worries me is that, some people will never be able to reach, but some others think that it's beyond their control. And it's frustrating to talk to people after a disaster and have them say, gosh, I regret that I didn't know that. And it makes us constructively impatient. We want people to know that thing that they can do to hedge their bet that much better to be safe.
Next, we will look at why Leslie is concerned about hurricane amnesia. Just how unusual have the lack of hurricane landfalls been? And later, Flash is exhibited at Disney World and the science behind why it is leaving an impression on people. But first, our Geek of the Week.
This week's Geeks of the Week are the University of Wisconsin students Henry Knuckles and April Hong, recent winners of the Atmospheric and Oceanic Science Department's 6th annual poster reception. Over 230 attendees viewed some 80 posters highlighting the active weather and climate research on the UW campus. Congratulations, April and Henry, our Geeks of the Week! And congratulations and good luck to all the 2016 graduates.
And we're back on Weather Geeks, and I want to talk now about something that really is of concern to many of us, and I know it's of concern to you. This concept of hurricane amnesia, what is that and why does it worry you?
Well, we're thrilled to not have landfalling hurricanes, but because of the lack of them on the Atlantic side, we have a generation of adults who have never experienced even the real threat of a hurricane. And for better or worse, those threats will promote good behavior and preparedness and consideration of what they need to do. We'll never have enough money to respond and restore everybody, so we need people to take ownership and get ready. And when we don't have the weather to remind them, we have to work extra hard to get their attention. Otherwise, we see things happen like in 1992 when Andrew hit. It followed decades of quiet. And the way we were building in Florida and on the coast and other things kind of fell apart because we forgot that we had to be ready.
Let me just kind of read some things to just put this in perspective for people. No hurricane landfalls last year. In 2014, Hurricane Alex skirted along the North Carolina coast. No hurricane landfalls in 2013. The last Cat 3 to make landfall was Wilma in 2005. And you're saying that this makes people let their guard down. I mean, there hasn't been a landfalling Cat 3 storm since my son is born. He's now 9 years old.
So there's no motivator there, no memory, or no one in their family's been affected in a way that makes them think, okay, I got to go do that.
Yeah, and Dr. Matt Sitkowski, one of our producers, really interesting. We just kind of rattle off the stats the last time we had a major Cat 3 or higher storm. The first iPhone was 2007. Twitter was founded March 21st, 2006. So this gives some perspective on what we're talking about here. So how unusual is this from a sort of in a historical sense, these droughts? So have we seen these kind of droughts before?
Yeah, sure. And that's and when we think about the devastation in '92, you know, it was the return of the active period. Yeah. And we had gone so long that we had really let our guard down. We started building 3-story wood frame structures right on the coast. Right. And in a way that we really can't confront high wind because you need to be more aerodynamic. The roof needs to be ready for the wind. So
let's just take this opportunity because you've got a large viewership here. What are some things that people should be doing for their homes now? As we're it's projecting a La Nina, and Phil Klotzbaugh and the Weather Channel and others are projecting perhaps an average or perhaps even more. We don't know. We'll see what the Weather Channel says, but Phil's saying perhaps an average season or so at Colorado State. So we've got to watch this. What should be doing? What should they be doing?
There's 2 basic things about your house. Yeah. First, you got to protect your openings, windows, doors, garage doors, and vents, because you don't want the wind to come in and pressurize your structure and blow it up. And the other thing is you got to keep your roof on and basically keep everything connected. Okay. So while it's not too hot outside, you can actually go in your attic if it's walkable and look around the edges and see how much metal you see. And we have all kinds of assets and DIY inspections and other tools. You can retrofit with metal straps and clips.
Is this information on your website,
Absolutely.
by the way? What's your website address?
Flash.org.
Flash.org, very easy to remember. Now, quickly, we're going to go to the break here, but do government or agencies and stakeholders, do they get amnesia too?
Probably, but not the ones we work with. We work with FEMA Building Science, and we go out with them after every storm, so you can never stamp out the memory when you're on the ground afterwards.
Okay, so this is something that we really wanted to make sure the viewership is aware of this, because it's something that many of us are talking about. But when we come back, Stormstruck, people are going to Walt Disney World and talking about this valuable information that's available in this exhibit. We're going to learn all about it next, and you'll be surprised by some of the numbers. Next on Weather Geeks. And we're back on Weather Geeks, and I was just in Orlando with my family, but we went to Animal Kingdom, not Epcot. But there's actually an exhibit at Epcot that you're involved with called Stormstruck. Tell us about that.
Well, Disney in the front of Epcot has an area called Innoventions, and what their goal there, Walt Disney wanted to help people discover and learn things that made their lives better. Okay. So we got together with Disney and started talking in the early 2000s, and in 2008 we opened an edutainment experience called Stormstruck, A Tale of Two Homes. Okay. So when you walk into Stormstruck, it's about 3,000 square feet. You see the happy house and you see the sad house. But when you go inside in the front, there's
We're seeing some
there's
of
a
that
video,
right now. Yeah.
And the cast members are called stormologists. And you see a video featuring Jim Cantori of the Weather Channel. Then you go in a theater and you have 3D glasses, and basically a kitchen sink storm comes at you. Oh, wow. And then it stops in the middle, and you learn, and you play a game, you compete against the rest of the theater, and you choose how to rebuild before the storm comes back. And we modeled out all the different scenarios, so the storm actually does come back. Oh, wow. And you see how your choices did, but it's fun because it's Disney and very memorable.
Now, obviously Disney's a partner, but any other partners involved with this?
Yeah, we actually had a lot of science partners from the Weather Service actually got it started with us. But we have corporate sponsors, State Farm, and Simpson Strong-Tie came in and were very generous to make it possible. Okay. And it's something that the attendants there were the #1 attended experience in the front of Epcot.
That's really awesome.
We've had more than 5 million people come through.
So some of the numbers show that the messaging for this has been quite effective. How so?
Well, we had, people said, well, that's great, a lot of people are coming, but do they take anything home with them? That's
what I was curious
about.
So
we partnered up with Carnegie Mellon a couple years ago, and they did a study, and they spoke with the guests, and then they came back 12 months later with no intervening conversations, and they said, okay, do you remember what you learned at Stormstruck? And if you remembered it, did you do anything about it? And we were blown away. Wow. 57% reported that they not only remembered, but they had done something to get ready, you know, whether it was a generator or a home inspection or some kind of preparedness. And it's StormStruck's everything from cold weather to hurricane, tornado, hail, everything.
Is this, I mean, that's just really amazing because you're showing the efficacy of this exhibit.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like this that you know of?
There isn't anything else like it that's in a theme park that way, but I can tell you that just the process of doing StormStruck taught us the most important lesson. If we, in any message, whether it's a fun campaign, something silly or serious, even a white paper, it's about empowerment.
Okay.
If people read and say, oh, tornado safe room, I can be safe and I can do that. Yeah. And if you give them that empowerment, we win. Right. And that's what the researchers deduced too at Carnegie Mellon. They were a little surprised too,
right,
that it was such a high number and something like that. But it's about helping people understand that they can write the ending to their storm story.
Right.
And that there's something in almost all cases,
right,
there's something you can do.
Now let's take this last minute or so. What's next for Flash? What are sort of your priorities going forward, and even for you?
Well, like everyone else, we're trying to take advantage of the digital realm and big data. And with our partners, we're looking at where we need to be in the future. You know, when you go into certain stores right now, you pull up an app and it says, hey, there's a coupon over here, you can get a discount. So we want people to be able to, and right now, you know, we have apps and different things, but we want them to be able to go into the store and say, oh, okay, there's fire, link that information, there's a wildfire brewing, okay, remember, here are the things you need to do.
That's okay.
You know, we always say no fuel, no fire.
Right.
So we're looking to really get out in front of the opportunity there, and between that and smart home technology, I think we're going to really be able to jump a lot more forward.
Well, I think that's where we have to end it today. Be sure to visit the website, and thank you all for joining us on Weather Geeks. We are on Twitter at WX Geeks, TWC, and you can find us on Facebook. See you next week on Weather Geeks.